Are your wife and children going? Ethan, are your wife and children coming tonight? Oh, are you kidding me? Oh, that makes sense. That's really tragic. No, that's fair, but that makes me really sad.
Like wellness conference here.
I came for Danny and Heather.
I was debating.
I was looking at one. I was looking at LSU, Baton Rouge. It'd be fun. I'm looking at Wesleyan, which is a college in Lincoln, Nebraska. To follow down. I don't know yet. Why not Lincoln? Oh, why not Lincoln?
I was like, let me tell you why.
Lincoln, Nebraska is the University of Nebraska is one of the best ones.
Yes.
What?
Omaha, Lincoln, yeah, those are like
But Wesleyan's pretty good. It's just a private college, so it'll be more pricey. But I haven't had to pay for tuition at all 4 years. So I want to. In Baton Rouge. That's what makes it Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So it's like the 1/4 of the state. Exactly. True. Yeah. Actually, yes. I don't. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know that I'll have time, but if it pays for my tuition, I can make time. Because even the bachelor program, the social program's not. It's tough. You're like, no time for that. There's like, yeah, I was gonna say you don't have to if you want to work at like DFS, CPS, you don't have to. But if you want to do anything else, and I also child. No, I don't make good money. Eventually, yeah. Eventually, I want to own my own private practice, and if I own my own private practice, I can make. But that's a long way. That's a long way. Oh, we're gonna be broke. But it'll be passionate. Our heart will be in our work. No, we're gonna be broke. But I don't have to take out any student loans, and I shouldn't. Hopefully for my master's either, because she helped with my rich grant.
Much of those numbers all the time. I can't imagine.
Yeah, she helped all of my siblings with their bachelor's programs. She hadn't with my bachelor's program, so she's willing to help me with my master's. And MSW, because my undergrad is in social work, also is only 1 year.
That ain't awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Most colleges. It's an advanced standing program, so as long as I have a bachelor's, I'm gonna go say hi to her family.
None of those were checks. Okay.
Raising money for your church?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
You work one time, you can't keep.
Oh, yeah.
They always do. We like to give them all the credit.
You remember Danny?
He's amazing. He's amazing. You're amazing. Oh, thank you. That's what he says all the time. He's the best girl partner ever.
She's the worst.
I am looking forward to watching it. So, yeah, I know you guys. Oh, it's my sister. Hi, my name is Danny. So close. Nice and small. Thank you.
And also, hey, you remember this? The very first one. But the very first one. Okay. Thank you all for coming. There are refreshments over here on the table. If you'd like to help yourself to some refreshments before we get started, we've got about 10 minutes before we get going. I did.
Yes, I
Yeah, I was like, I am gonna get a little refreshment. You wanna get a refreshment with me?
No.
Oh, wait, no, that was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was fine. When I got like 20 minutes after the concert. I know. Oh, wait.
You were quite a ways away, so I didn't.
There's like,
And I was in
there's so many
Africa.
Walmart.
Hold on, let's talk more. Let's really unpack this. Hold on. Tell the story again this time.
Me with 3 Arizona. I also like do politics. I can't.
Like I said,
I only bought Arizona because I had nothing else that I needed there. I feel like you I need it to go back to home. I need it to be a bottle. It is. That's definitely true. Maybe I'll be no, forever. I did tell myself. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, and I got out at 3. Oh, to be fair, it took me a second to like get like, you know what I mean? Yeah. I never saw it. You can be in a case.
Okay, so what?
It's a I'm gonna be there every day, staring at us. Hi, David Tree. What's up?
What happened? Like, why?
I'm so good at cleaning. All the babies came.
So,
That is painfully funny for no
welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah, I just headed to dinner and just made it.
How was dinner? Oh, it's good.
Don't worry. Yeah, too much. It starts in a minute.
Is that okay? Yeah.
But you're doing presentations, so that's a little hard.
We're going to take just a few more minutes, let some more people shuffle in. If you're interested, there are some refreshments, thank you, words are hard, over here on this table that we've set up for you. Please help yourself.
Where once. Done. Brandon, I think we're ready. Brandon. Go ahead.
All right, well, welcome everyone, and thank you for coming out tonight. My name is Brandon Cosine. I'm the interim president here at Casper College, and it's just so great to see so many faces here. Forensics is a really interesting team because it's one of those campus activities and academic groups that you never really get to see what they do because they're always off at another place doing this. It's not like basketball and some of our traditional sports and all of that. So this is such an incredible event so that everybody gets to see what they do and all the different events and just why we're so proud of this team and why they are so accomplished. So I will just welcome everyone again and thank you for coming, and you guys are going to do great. And we can't wait to see you here in a few minutes, and I will turn it over to Doug Hall.
Good evening, welcome, and thank you all so much for coming. My name is Doug Hall. I'm the co-director of forensics here at Casper College with my co-director Ethan Fife, who you'll see a lot of tonight. But he wanted me to do the introduction, so I'm up here doing the introduction. We'd like to start by just telling you a little bit about our season and what we've done this year. We started with a retreat. We went up to the Colorado State University Mountain Campus. They have a ropes course, challenge course up there that's a lot of fun, and the students, I think, really enjoyed that. But we just had a really good time. We grew as a team, and it was a fun trip. After that, we headed out to Idaho. We competed at the Fran Tanner Invitational at College of Southern Idaho. That's the one. We had a really good showing there. It was an excellent tournament for us to kick our season off with, and we had brought home a lot of hardware. What did we do after that? We went to Colorado College, down just south of Denver. And our crew kind of was a wrecking crew at that tournament. They did a lot of damage at that tournament, which was great. We won that, didn't we? I thought so. Yes, we won that, which was a lot of fun. And then we kind of took the rest of the semester off, and then in the spring we took them out to California, to Cerritos College in California, and they had some very impressive results from there too. We did that because that's the largest region for our national tournament, so we wanted to expose them to some of that competition. And boy, did they get exposed to some real talent. Those folks are really good at what they do, as are our kids. And so it was fun to watch them go head to head before the national tournament. Then we hosted our tournament here at Pioneer Trails on our campus, and now we're here. We are one day away from leaving for Norfolk, Virginia, where we will compete for another round of trophies at Fire Oak High. We had an excellent showing last year at Fire Oak High, and so we're really hoping that we can repeat that. And our ultimate goal, I think, is a team break, and that's where all 6 of them break something into out rounds. We've done that several times in our franchise history. That's not what I was trying to say, but and it's always a nice gift when that can happen. All right, I think we're ready to start. Let me grab my script. Okay. Oh, I did want to take a second to introduce you to some folks who you won't necessarily see perform tonight. The 6 folks you're going to see perform qualify for the national tournament, and we'll be competing there over the course of the next week, except Danny, she's leaving. Oh, okay. But we do have some folks in the crowd who have competed for us this year, who just won't be at the national tournament with us, and that makes us very sad, and we'll miss them. But we do want to acknowledge their hard work this year. First, I'll introduce Sophie. Go ahead and wave over Sophie is a graduate from the Toronto County High School and came to us this year, highly recommended from her coach, Catherine Kellick, who's also in the crowd tonight. I also want to introduce Allie Gilliott, right here. Wave Allie. Allie was on our team for this couple of years. I have to embarrass her just a little bit because Allie was not a debater. She had done it like once when she came to our team. I noticed that she had done it once and was like, hey, Allie, You want to try something new. And so we taught her how to do debate. She went to 2 tournaments, broke at both of them, and was in the final of the second one. She's just an incredible young woman, and we're so excited to see what she does with her future. And then we have Stephanie Mata right over here. Wave, Stephanie. Very talented competitor. Sorry, Allie came from Powell. I forgot to tell you. She came from Powell, Wyoming. Stephanie came to us from, I always forget this one. Pinedale. Get that one mixed up. Pinedale. And we've enjoyed having Stephanie on the team this year as well. And then there's Corey. Wait, Corey. Corey Kanata came to us from Green River High School after competing there successfully for many years. And we're just really excited to have all these folks with us. Oh, and Josie's here too. Wait, Josie. Josie House, also on the team. So all of these wonderful folks have contributed to our success this year, and we're glad that they could make it out tonight, and we wanted to take a moment to celebrate them. Now let's get to some performances. All right, our first performer this evening is our only first year going to Firo Pi. And our first showcase is going to be Program of Oral Interpretation, affectionately known as POI. This is the event for folks who just can't pick one genre. So they don't. POI allows you performers to combine prose, poetry, drama, in an effort to build a thesis-driven performance and program. And they're a lot of fun to watch. It's one of the most dynamic events we offer. It's one of the most challenging events that we offer. And our kids always do this event really well. We've had a lot of success in this event over the years. Tonight's performer is one of the most energetic new additions to our team this year, a first-year competitor out of Thermopolis, Wyoming. She has a voice, a presence, and an attitude that we would describe as absolutely impossible to ignore. Despite our best efforts, no. She's been described as the human equivalent of an exclamation point. I think Ethan wrote these. And we are expecting a big week from her in Norfolk, where she'll also be competing in speech to entertain, prose, and duo. Performing her POI tonight, ladies and gentlemen, from Thermopolis, Ivy Goff.
Maybe I ruined someone, but I'm literally just a girl. Maybe I need to choose my major, but I'm literally just a girl, and for the first time, I'm not happy about getting older. Don't get me wrong, I'm fully aware that 20 is not considered old, and in hindsight it seems ridiculous to complain about it, but it's not the age itself that bothers me. I'm just a girl who has dreams. I'm just a girl who sometimes questions herself, who loses her smile. I'm not just a girl trying to find her way. I'm not just a girl. I'm a poet. Girlhood is something that all women crave. It's a feeling of community where you can joke around, be open, and have a little fun. I'm just a girl. 4 simple words that serve as a subtle dismissal of responsibility. A shrug in the face of capability and a nod to outdated gender norms. In an age where feminism has become a rallying cry for empowerment and equality, how can such a trend persist? I'm just a girl. A phrase first introduced to the zeitgeist by Gwen Stefani and No Doubt has recently resurfaced and evolved into a popular internet meme used by girls and women as a means to jokingly justify their mistakes and rid themselves of accountability. Now, the phrase started from a place of innocence, a way for women to relieve just a little of the ever-growing pressure that society has placed on them. But since humans suck and we can't ever have fun for too long, the phrase has now evolved into a term that works against women instead of for them. According to Her Campus, the leading media platform dedicated to empowering college women across the globe, we just need to be careful where our I'm just a girl morphs from an expression of shared community and humor into I'm just a girl, don't expect anything from me. So, through the prose, I'm Just a Girl by Leah McQueen, the articles, Unmasking the Trend, The Hidden Harm of I'm Just a Girl by Ada Greenwald, Eye to Eye, I'm Just a Girl by Justine Picard and Dia Johnny, the poems I'm Just a Girl by Raven Rook, Just a Girl by No Doubt, and TikTok excerpts from Amber Aquila and Gia. Beyond the Meme, a program, because what distinguishes me from the meme? I can't do it. I'm not ready. I'm just a girl. I know that there's so much I have to learn and unlearn. So many people I have to meet who will either destroy or revolutionize my life, take this pink ribbon off my eyes. I'm exposed, and it's no big surprise. Don't you think I know exactly where I stand? This world is forcing me to hold your hand. Because for every I'm just a girl, there's a subtle reinforcement of gender stereotypes, a perpetuation of the notion that women are less capable, less competent, and less deserving of agency. I love that meme. That's the girl talking to her dad, and she's like, I'm just a girl, and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about, but it sounds like you're minimizing yourself. And while I don't disagree, I also feel that two things can be true at once. And I feel like this I'm just a girl phenomena is a response to boys will be boys, and you see, girlhood is over for me. I'm now in the beginning stages of what everyone calls womanhood, an unpredictable experience that will supposedly grant me a wealth of opportunities that girlhood lacked, such as childbirth, pap smears, and menopause. But now that I'm a woman, I wonder how society could expect me to part with my teenage years so suddenly. I'm not just a girl trying to find her way. I'm not just a girl. I'm more. I want uncertainty. I shouldn't be expected to have a plan because I'm still just a girl. The phrase was built around innocent intentions. A sort of phrase that relieves women of the tension and pressure that society has placed on them. Unfortunately, these issues that women have fought against are now being undone by this I'm just a girl narrative of women belittling themselves and their capabilities, despite a lifetime of possibilities that womanhood brings. I still want to gossip and shop and fight with my mom. I want drama. I'm just a girl, but more than that. I'm just a girl with best friends. I'm just a girl who makes wishes a lot. I am not just a girl. I'm more than that. When I think about feminist history and the recent generations of progression that women have made collectively, I think about how genuine and authentic feminism is not just about how women can benefit, but how society generally can. And also how men can become aware of the patriarchal conditioning that works against them. We prompt rallies and movements. We fight for our rights to be leaders. We want to be treated as equals, and yet, when the going gets hard, we simply say, I'm just a girl. I'm not just a girl. I am Ravenbrook. I am just a girl who is smart. I'm just a girl who loves to read a good book. I am not just a girl. We can run for office. But we can't be expected to have financial intelligence because I'm just a girl. All I know is girl math and girl therapy. I do girl trends. Maybe I am a contributor in this ongoing regressive shift. Maybe I've taken comfort in this seemingly hopeless role that being just a girl justifies. Maybe I do want to stave off adulthood. Trends are cute and fun until they're not. Until they are indicative of something that could turn majorly regressive. This innocently disguised girly phrase is, well, just as toxic as this boyish, brutish phrase, men. Your life could be so much better. You could have a life where you are not just defined by your status as a man, but that would require effort from you. And it would require you to deconstruct these systems in your mind rather than just saying boys will be boys. Because if boys will be boys, then fuck you, cause I'm just a girl, a little old me. Well, don't let me out of your sight. Oh, I'm just a girl, all pretty and petite. Well, don't let me have any rights. Oh, I've had it up to here. You're not reclaiming a patriarchal society stereotype of women. You're playing into it. By saying I'm just a girl, you're spreading the narrative that women shouldn't be expected to succeed within it. It's not changing anything other than setting back feminism by half a century. Yes, it's funny until you realize that half this country still believes it. You are allowed to disagree. You are free to hate the color pink. Criticize us when we drive poorly and laugh as we justify our purchases through irrational loopholes, but please, do not belittle our precious identities just because you do not understand them. Young girls are being taught that women can't have fun or be serious from the get-go. Because if women stand up for themselves, then they're suddenly being too hard and cold, too mean. But if they don't, then they're weak and can't handle society. Society will never be satisfied with women, no matter what they do. So as you can see, I'm not just a girl. I have a name, I have a family, I have best friends. I am just a girl who sometimes doubts herself, but I am not just a girl. I'm a team. I am not just a girl. I am me. I'm just a girl. Oh, I'm making myself clear.
All right, we're gonna slide into platform events. I'm the primary coach for that, and I love doing it because it's far easier to explain this stuff. So let's talk about informative speaking, an event that does exactly what it sounds like. It teaches the audience something, but doing it well, while being clear, engaging, and not boring, well, that's hard to do. This competitor has always been known to play to their strengths. Jack Cochran, a graduating second-year student from Casper, Wyoming, has made an indelible impact on our team through her work ethic, humor, and downright terrifying debate stare. She's been a force in public address, limited prep, debate, all of those things. While she hasn't decided where she's headed quite yet, she has certainly quite a few options. Lots of them. Somewhere on the East Coast, we'll be lucky to have her because that's where she does want to go, though we'll be sad to lose that sarcastic charm? Let's call it that. Performing her informative speech, please welcome from Casper, Wyoming, Jack Cochran.
What if I could tell you that there was a pill that could cure cancer within a week? Or an injection that could cure addiction within an hour? A therapy that could cure schizophrenia within a day? It seems like a pipe dream, right? Well, it is. But for only 2 of those 3 ingredients. According to the CDC, more than 80,000 people died from opioid overdose in 2023 alone, a number that isn't going to abate anytime soon. So if researchers discovered a new drug that has the potential to cure opioid addiction within 24 hours, shouldn't we be jumping for mass use? Ibogaine, a plant-derived alkaloid and dissociative psychedelic, has been found through testing to be able to cure addictive symptoms for opioids, heroin, alcohol, and many other addictive substances in a shockingly short amount of time. Yet, Ibogaine isn't seen as the miracle cure to everyone in the addiction community. To understand this, we have to take a closer look at how Ibogaine has become such an interesting development for everyone in the addiction community. To do this, we will look at how Ibogaine first became associated with addiction studies, before next moving on to how Ibogaine affects human physiology when battling addiction, before finally examining the limitations and implications of this supposed wonder drug. Now, Ibogaine is fairly new to Western medicine, but the plant itself has been used for centuries by native African tribes. According to a Science Direct article, last updated in July of 2019, Ibogaine is found in the root bark of the tabernape iboga bale bush, typically found in the African republics of Gabon and Cameroon. For centuries, the plant was largely used as religious sacrament due to it having certain psychoactive properties, which I totally get. When I go searching for religious enlightenment, I find it's much easier to just take a quick trip. Essentially, it is akin to the euphoric drunk state without the ingestion of alcohol. For centuries, it was largely used this way even after the French colonization of Gabon, until pharmacology researcher and ironic drug addict Howard Lotsof brought ibogaine stateside in the 1960s. What started as a general drug experimentation with friends made Lotsof quickly realize he had accidentally cured his own heroin addiction. Excited by the promise he saw, Lotsof began formal research into the anti-addictive properties of the drug. Unfortunately, there were initially mixed results. While some did find remission from their addiction due to lack of deep chemical understanding and safe medical testing, resulted in multiple fatalities due to overdose and abuse. And yet, by the time of Lotsof's passing, ibogaine had shown a 76% chance of curing addiction. To this day, it is seen as one of the most successful studies done ever in the addiction field. However, just because it was successful does not mean that those negative impacts were taken lightly. In 1967, ibogaine was classified by the FDA as a Schedule I narcotic. It has no medically accepted uses by the FDA and is seen as having a high potential for abuse. This greatly limited Lotsof's ability to do sound, long-term, continued research throughout much of his career. Now, that revelation sounds scary. Ibogaine can cure your addiction. Side effects, it can also kill you. But by giving a closer look into how ibogaine works can bring more clarity to what the drug can do. According to the National Library of Medicine, last updated in July of 2023, ibogaine is what is known as an agonist. Simply put, a chemical that activates a brain receptor to produce a biological response. Not that different from any other drug, prescription, or illicit. However, what sets ibogaine apart is its anti-immunosuppressive effects, its ability to block the body's response to potentially harmful stimuli. In most cases, this would be heat, cold, or pain. Ask any police officer who's tried to subdue a PCP raging suspect, and they'll tell you, that's all of the drugs? Yet, ibogaine actually takes it a step further, also blocking potentially toxic stimuli, like drugs and alcohol, by inhibiting the release and uptake of dopamine and serotonin. But if it doesn't allow for the uptake and release of dopamine and serotonin, how does it provide its own psychoactive effects? Well, ibogaine binds with one of 3 opioid receptors in your brain, kappa opioid receptors, while mu receptors and delta receptors are typically associated with the neuromodulation of physiological functions, a very scientific way of saying the regulation of things such as mood, dependence, or gastric motility. Kappa opioid receptors are directly involved with the feelings of analgesia or euphoria. Basically, it provides the user with a high without a lot of the physical trade-offs that opioids usually provide. So let's put these two ideas together. Ibogaine doesn't provide the same physical withdrawal symptoms normally associated with substances, while also blocking those substances' ability to bind with neuroreceptors themselves. In tandem, this means that ibogaine can reduce your cravings for toxic substances, while also diminishing the physical withdrawal symptoms normally associated with addiction. This is what makes some feel that ibogaine is such a hopeful option when battling addiction. So, with such incredible level of promise and such a tenuous relationship with the law, the limitations and implications of ibogaine need to be addressed. The impacts of introducing ibogaine as an addiction treatment cannot be overstated. While the drug does lack long-term studies due to its classification, the short-term gains create incredible optimism amongst current opioid relapse rates. According to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, last updated September of 2023, an opioid user has more than a 90% chance of relapse after rehab. This number is greatly reduced through alternative treatments such as methadone. But methadone comes with its own severe withdrawal side effects that have actually been shown to last longer, though not necessarily as severely. Ibogaine would potentially be the best of both worlds, quickly curbing the need and cravings for toxic substances while also not providing the same level of high or withdrawal as other addictive substances. Ibogaine also doesn't provide the same physiological symptoms as other opioids do that often lead to addicts abandoning their treatment. According to a 2019 UNC Davis School of Nursing study found that ibogaine maintained a 50% sobriety rate after just 6 months, compared to 18% of common narcotic treatment buprenorphine. However, we cannot talk about this as a miracle cure without two things happening first: long-term studies and reclassification. While the drug does look like a positive step in the future of addiction studies, it absolutely is an opioid itself. We need a better understanding on how ibogaine works and whether or not opioid cessation is a lasting consequence compared to alternative treatments. However, long-term studies will always run into the roadblock of the Schedule I classification. While ibogaine should absolutely not be declassified, simply rescheduling it as a Schedule II narcotic would allow for better research and therapeutic use studies, while also providing that the drug be taken under the care and consultation of a medical professional. For the skeptics among us, this simply means rescheduling ibogaine into the same controlled substance group as drugs such as cocaine, methadone, fentanyl, and morphine. Drug addiction is something that can affect everyone, whether it's through personal use or watching it happen to a loved one. Just the potential to find a better, safer resource creates enough incentive for us to want to learn more. That is why today, we first looked at how ibogaine works. For next, moving on to how it works. And finally, examining the limitations and implications of this amazing drug. Addiction will never be solved with a magic bullet, but by looking at every potential recovery option, we can begin to change our addiction statistics just one person at a time.
All right, thank you, Jack. Our next performance will be a prose interpretation performance. This is an event where subtlety, narrative, and emotional honesty come together. While drama often feels like it's meant for a stage, with prose, the focus is more on story and subtle facial expression changes. Prose feels like it's made more for the screen. Casper, who just left, is a second-year competitor out of Casper, Wyoming. She's actually from Minneapolis, but she graduated from NCHS, and she is a born performer. She's one of our most well-rounded competitors, showcasing talent in prose, poi, persuasion, and duo. She'll be returning to Casper in the fall to finish her degree. She's a double major in psychology and art. Before heading off to light up a larger stage, but we're already preparing ourselves for the cash-shaped hole that she's going to leave behind. Performing her prose tonight, give it up for our fiercest, funniest, and most dedicated competitor, Casper.
Well, aren't we all looking lovely tonight? I'm going to stall for just a couple minutes while I wait for the rest of my favorite. How are we doing tonight? Yeah. I'm not a stand-up comedy person, guys. What was that? Yeah.
Cass, you have a seat.
We actually have something else we can do.
Yes. Perfect.
All right, we'll wait on Cass's family to come back in. We wanted to take, instead of an intermission, because it's a short show tonight, we wanted to take a minute to just kind of give you a quick update on some of our alums and where they are and what they're doing, because a lot of them are doing really cool stuff out there. And one of them, actually a couple of them, are here tonight. So that's especially fun. I'm going to start with, is that good? Okay. By introducing you or reminding you of Camry White. Wave, Camry. Camry's here tonight. She transferred out of, from Casper College to go to UW to continue her education, and she hasn't missed a beat. She's still maintaining a 4.0 GPA, just killing it down in Laramie, and is in the process of getting her practicum placement. She's ultimately hoping to work as a substance abuse counselor and is starting to shop grad schools. So it's a very exciting time for Camry, and we're really proud of her, and we're so thankful that you came tonight.
One of our other graduates last year was Tyler Cooper. Tyler Cooper, I actually reached out to him, asked him, what are you doing professionally, academically, personally? And he responded with, doing pretty okay, I guess, which might be the most Tyler Cooper way of looking at life. I finally got out of him. He's still just pursuing his legal studies degree at Colorado State University. Again, killing him. He's really gotten involved and is very active with the Democratic Socialists of America chapter on the CSU campus, and that's where he's spending most of his time. That's Tyler.
Tyler Saunders. Another graduate, recent graduate from last year, yes, is Ella Cassidy. Ella's not here tonight either, but we've seen Ella on campus a few times this semester, actually, because after she graduated, she transferred to the University of Wyoming after getting her degree, but she studied abroad. She was in Rome. I knew it was Italy. Is it in there? Okay.
Yeah.
She began the school year in a semester abroad program studying in Rome. You're right.
Yeah.
And it was a long semester, and she felt a little tired and homesick, so she's taking classes now at UWC. So she's back here with us this spring before catching her next flight. She intends to hop back to Europe for the next semester. For a study abroad program in London. I didn't know it carried over to the next page. Ultimately, Ella plans to pursue law school after graduating.
All right. Let's talk about our last graduate from last year, Sienna Gomez. Sienna transferred to Weber State in Utah to continue their academics and speech career. They told me a long bout of sickness affected their grades last semester. A little bit of prodding helped me learn that actually meant she got 1 B. Right? So to be clear, that's what we're talking about. They have had an incredibly successful speech career, recently culminating in reaching the quarterfinals in 4 different events at Pi Kappa Delta National Tournament. And the final thing that Sienna told me is incredible. Might blow your hair back a little bit if you know Sienna all that well. They're currently working and loving their time as a caregiver at a daycare. Again,
it'd be funny if you knew Sienna.
Yeah, if you know Sienna, that's different.
All right. The next 3 graduates are from a couple of years ago, but they're all still working toward great things. The first one I want to introduce you to or talk about is Marky Whitney. Marky came to us from Newcastle and had a very successful collegiate career at Casper College before transferring to the University of Alabama to compete for them on scholarship. She graduated from the university last spring after a stellar 2-year career competing for them, and she's now back in Wyoming. She intended to go to the University of Wyoming and become a lawyer. She wanted to go to law school at the University of Wyoming, but she was offered a job to work at Hot Springs High School in Thermopolis under the tutelage of Lyle Wiley, if you know him, and is doing wonderful things there as an English teacher and a coach. And we got to see her toward the beginning of the year as a coach, and then again just a couple weeks ago at state, and her team just loves her, as we knew they would, because she's just an incredible person. But she's out on the high school circuit this year. We've gotten I already said that. She's really grown as a coach over the year, and you can tell how much her competitors and other coaches really enjoy her. Marky Whitney.
So let's talk about Emma Kellick. This is one of the other folks that are here tonight. Wave, Emma. Okay. Emma graduated from Hastings College in Nebraska after 2 years of impressive competition here at Casper College. She's now working as a counselor at the Youth Crisis Center here in Casper and as a volunteer coach at NCHS. It has also been nice to have her back in town. She even came up and helped us coach a little bit from time to time this year, so we deeply do appreciate that. We wish her all the best as she settles into that new career. Grow, blossom, we're going to love you.
I was also told right before we started, and I didn't get a chance to get it into the script, but Emma qualified 5 students to nationals this year as a volunteer coach at NC, so that's a big accomplishment. All right, and our last alum we're going to talk about is Jaden Roccaforte from Cheyenne East High School. He came here and competed for 2 years and absolutely blew the doors off places. He's an incredible performer. If you know him, you know that. He took a year off after graduating from Casper College, took a little bit of a gap year. I know he coached for Cheyenne East and had a lot of success there helping them out. But then he decided to get back to work at Western Kentucky University as a scholarship member of their nationally renowned forensics program. I actually got I got a response from Jay, but not in time, so he wanted me to tell you. He got 3rd last weekend in pros at the Async National Tournament, and he qualified to the National Forensics Association Tournament in 4 events, DI, Pros, Poetry, and Poi. He's seeking a bachelor's degree in interdisciplinary studies. I'm not sure what that means.
That's all the updates that we had in time. So remember all that great stuff that Doug said about Cass still applies. So do pros, Casper.
challenging everything you think you know. 6 months ago, I was working 2 jobs. Mornings as a cashier at a grocery store and nights at a dingy 24-hour diner. One day, after a particularly rough shift where a customer threw coffee at me for bringing the wrong kind of cream, I sat on my couch with blistered feet and an empty fridge humming in the background, and I scrolled through job listings. That's when I saw the ad. Flexible hours, high pay, no experience necessary, must be open-minded. Curiosity got the better of me and I clicked. The next day, I found myself standing outside the Neon Orchid, heart pounding, questioning every decision that brought me here. Life is funny. Sex work remains to be one of the most stigmatized professions, often misunderstood as inherently exploitive. However, research challenges this perception. The Global Network of Sex Work Projects states that decriminalization leads to safer working conditions and better health outcomes. Meanwhile, criminalization leads to an increase of vulnerability. Amnesty International also argues for the recognition of sex work as legitimate labor, arguing for workers' rights and autonomy. Despite these findings, the stigma persists, making it difficult for workers to share their experiences without fear of judgment. The following short story challenges this bias. The following short story challenges this bias, revealing sex work to be legitimate labor requiring skills, boundaries, and resilience. It tells a personal story of finding empowerment in an unexpected place. The Neon Orchid by Logan Saul. I never thought I would end up working at a place like the Neon Orchid. I mean, growing up in a small town, the mere mention of anything like it was enough to make folks purse their lips and cross the street. I used to be one of them. Sex work was something that I associated with desperation, whispered rumors, and bad life decisions. Inside, the place was nothing like I expected. Soft lavender lights bathed the walls, casting a calming glow over plush couches and polished floors. Music played at just the right volume, creating a relaxed buzz. As I stood there taking it all in, a woman with gray hair and a smile that lit up the room approached me. Her name was Marla, though everyone here called her Lady. "First night jitters?" she asked. Terrified, I admitted, twisting the silver ring on my thumb. Nervous habit. "Fear's just excitement holding its breath, hon. You've got this." That first night, I worked the bar, pouring drinks, chatting with customers. It was simple, easy even. The tips that I made in one shift were more than I used to make in a week. Still, that voice in the back of my head kept repeating all of the things that I had been taught to believe, that this was shameful, that I should be embarrassed, but shame doesn't pay the bills. By the end of the week, my fridge was full, my rent was paid, and I could finally exhale. Over time, I got to know the other workers. There was Savina, a single mother saving to buy her daughter a future, and Louis, who was putting himself through grad school, and April, who just genuinely enjoyed the work. It struck me how different they were from the stereotypes that I had grown up believing. They were kind, hardworking, and resilient. Then one night, a man at the bar sneered, "Bet your parents are real proud." I will admit, his words kind of stung. And as I opened my mouth to reply, Lady stepped in, calm but firm. "Respect is free, darling. If you can't afford it, you can't sit here." Moments like that taught me more than I expected. There was pride and dignity in standing up for yourself, in choosing how you wanted to be treated. I started to realize that shame wasn't mine to carry. It belonged to those who judged without understanding. And then there was that night. It was a Friday. The place was packed, people laughed over drinks, music pulsed a little louder than usual, and the air buzzed with weekend energy. I spotted April across the room, chatting with a client, a guy that I had seen once or twice before. Something about him had always put me on edge. His smile never reached his eyes. That night, his body language was different too. Too close, hand gripping April's arm a little bit too tightly. She gave me a glance, a quick flash of unease, but kept talking, trying to diffuse whatever tension was brewing between them. Seconds ticked by, and then I heard it. The man's voice raised and sharp. "You think you're too good for me? You take my money and then act like a goddamn prude?" The room's energy shifted. Conversations quieted, eyes darted toward the commotion. I didn't think, I just moved. By the time I got there, he was standing, looming over April, his hand clenched into a fist. My heart pounded, adrenaline surging through my veins. "Hey!" I shouted, my voice steadier than I felt. "That's enough. Let her go." He turned toward me, his face twisted in anger, hissing that I should mind my business. "She is my business." I snapped and positioned myself between them. Lady was already waiting for security, but I had to hold the line until they got here. He sneered, taking a step closer to her. His breath reeked of whiskey and his eyes wild with entitlement. My pulse roared in my ears, but something fiercer burned brighter. No one was gonna hurt someone on my watch. "That's enough," I said. Your night here is over. Walk away." Seconds ticked by, tension thick enough to choke on, and then, with a bitter laugh, he spat at my feet and walked on. Just as security arrived to escort him out. Later, after the adrenaline wore off, Lady handed me a glass of water and squeezed my shoulder. "You did good, hun. That took guts." I nodded. I couldn't stand there and do nothing. Well, that's the thing, baby. Most people do nothing. Working at the Neon Orchid wasn't always easy. There were nights that I went home exhausted, emotions stretched thin, but there were also nights filled with laughter, with stories shared over open fires and inside jokes that made the hours fly by. I found a community where I least expected it. One morning, sipping my coffee at the kitchen table, I caught my reflection in the window. I looked happy, stable. There was pride in that gaze, not the kind of pride I thought I wanted growing up, but something real and hard-earned. Looking back, I realized just how much my perspective on sex work has changed. Sex work is work. It's people providing a service, navigating boundaries. It requires skill, empathy, and resilience. The stigma, though, that's the hardest part. It comes from people who don't understand, who don't want to understand. But here's the thing. Behind every label is a person. Someone with bills to pay, dreams to chase, a life to live. No one should be dehumanized for making a living, especially when that living is their choice. I never expected to find empowerment in a place like the Neon Orchid, but there, under the soft lavender lights, surrounded by people who refuse to apologize for living life on their own terms, I found it. Dignity isn't about what you do. It's about how you stand in it.
Back to platform now for persuasive speaking, an event where students identify a real-world problem and aim to convince the audience to do something about it. These are speeches meant to move you, not just emotionally, but literally to action. Nina Bivens from Rapid City, South Dakota is one of the most intellectually sharp and emotionally grounded students we've had the pleasure to coach. Third-year competitor who narrowly missed a national championship in debate last year, taking silver in IPDA. This year, back with a vengeance, competing again in IPDA, along with impromptu speaking, informative, and the persuasive speech you're about to see. After graduation, Nina plans to continue her studies abroad, likely in Belfast, Northern Ireland. She's got the brains, the drive, and let's be honest, a far better sense of travel planning than her coaching staff, performing her persuasive speech. Please welcome from Rapid City, South Dakota, Nina Bivens.
For the last 10 years, Chicago resident Asel Espinoza has been on the road. He delivers pizzas to his neighbors to put food on their tables. However, he isn't able to put food on his own. Instead of earning a livable wage, Espinoza's employer pays him $4 for every order he delivers. On a slow night, if he doesn't have an order, then he isn't paid at all. Shockingly, a 2023 WorkRise Network article explains that Espinoza's story is one of millions that drives one of the largest causes of paycheck-to-paycheck living in America, wage theft. Now, while there are certainly some voices that criticize low earners of being bad budgeters or just outright lazy, according to a 2024 Economic Opportunity Institute article, employers steal more than $15 billion annually from workers in the country. To put this in perspective, while we hear story after story of organized theft rings in retail stores and retail theft soaring in urban areas, the total amount of all retail property stolen through burglaries, robberies, even stealing off the back of a truck, only amounts to 4% of what employers steal from their own workers. So today, let's first unpack what is exactly driving the causes of wage theft in America. Next, we'll break down the horrible effects it has on workers and society, before finally finding some solutions to hold employers accountable and put our money back where it belongs, in our own pockets. Wage theft is a massive issue that impacts millions. So what is exactly driving this issue? Well, in 2022, Business Insider explains that wage theft occurs anytime an employer doesn't pay an employee the benefits they've earned. This can be anything from actual wages to something that's considered a benefit, like a lunch break. Now, to be clear, wage theft or violations can stem from simple miscommunication or mistakes due to oversight, not intent. However, theft largely occurs in two main ways: employee classification and overtime payouts. First, it is common that an employer would misclassify or reclassify their employees as independent contractors. The IRS, last accessed in September of 2024, explains the difference between an independent contractor and an employee is one of control. If a worker has to perform specific tasks, has a signed contract, or receives benefits beyond compensation, then they are an employee. To even be classified as an independent contractor, workers must have the freedom to control how they accomplish their work, which may include both when and where they do it. For example, it might seem like construction workers are independent contractors because they control and run their own operations daily. However, the business they work under still has financial control and control to change how that work is done whenever they see fit. This matters because a 2024 Economic Policy Institute study found that average construction worker loses out on an average of $16,700 through misclassification of their work. For truck drivers, who more than half of their industry identify as independent contractors, that number is $18,000. But secondly, Rowdy Meeks Legal Group in a 2024 article explains that employers commit overtime violations by averaging hours out over 2 weeks or more to avoid paying overtime, ignoring when hourly employees work overtime, and not allowing employees to report overtime hours due to poor record keeping. This may also include employers bumping up employees to salary to purposely overwork them. Of that $15 billion stolen from workers each year, overtime violations account for over half of that number, nearly $8 billion. But armed with the knowledge of how exactly employers are milking employees, it's important that we fully realize the implications of these actions through employer incentives and demographic discrepancies. First and foremost, wage theft through misclassification is very appealing to employers because it allows them to avoid their share of overtime pay, Medicare and Social Security taxes, and employee benefits like PTO and sick leave. At the same time, Jen Round, a labor standards enforcement fellow at Rutgers University, mentions that many companies have started doing a cost-benefit analysis and decided that it's cheaper to violate classification law, even if you get caught, In fact, according to the Center for Public Integrity in 2024, between the years of 2005 and 2020, the US Department of Labor fined only 1 in 4 companies for verified offenses of repeated wage theft. Furthermore, it ordered cash damages, penalty money paid in addition to back wages, in just 14% of those cases. But even if wage theft was punished consistently, an important effect to understand is that it is not committed against everyone equally. According to a 2022 Preventative Medicine Journal, wage theft is especially common among women, racialized, and undocumented workers. They are segregated into precarious, low-wage, and hyper-exploited sectors, and disproportionately targeted for wage theft within workplaces. Workers who are Black, Hispanic, or women are over 40% more likely than their counterparts to even experience minimum wage violations. Additionally, retail, agriculture, and healthcare are common industries where wage theft occurs. The article also explains that this practice consistently pushes America's lowest paid workers further into poverty. When all of these wage theft violations are added up, that previously mentioned 2024 Economic Opportunity Institute article states that workers have less to provide for themselves and their families. Businesses see less foot traffic and earn less income, and local, state, and federal governments collect less revenue. Overall, wage theft hurts everyone at some point in their lives, and something needs to change. Though the effects of wage theft are far-reaching, there are steps that we can take to protect workers from these abuses on a governmental, educational, and personal level. First, simply seeing how big this issue is shows that federal enforcement of wage theft laws is weak, and state laws vary too much to create a competent system. However, New Mexico Senator Martin Heinrich announced in March of 2024 the Wage Theft Prevention and Wage Recovery Act. This bill would combat wage theft by strengthening a worker's rights to fair pay and improving accountability and penalty for wage theft violations. It also ensures that workers have access to their employment records so that you can always know how your worked time matches what your employer reports. Secondly, more than 2/3 of states require financial literacy training for high school aged students. We need to be stacking the education with an understanding of labor and worker literacy in our schools. Having good financial literacy also means knowing how to protect whatever your primary source of income may be. For example, in a groundbreaking move, the UC Berkeley Labor Center mentions in 2023 that California Governor Gavin Newsom signed AB 800 into law on September 30th, an initiative that equips high school students with the knowledge to safeguard their workplace rights and even defend against potential abuses. Finally, CBS News estimates in 2024 that most wage theft is never reported in the first place. So, educate yourself on your rights and reports. It might seem scary or difficult to go up against someone with authority over you, but employers need to be held accountable for their actions. Individuals can also join unions to help protect their rights. Unions equip workers with enough bargaining power to establish mechanisms that combat and remedy such violations of their rights. Additionally, anyone can have a big impact by donating to organizations like Wage Justice Center and Equal Pay Today. Both dedicate their time to get people in touch with local legislators and support new bills that combat wage theft. Today, I have gathered these resources in my home state of Wyoming. For a list tailored to you, please see me after the show. Today, we uncovered one of the biggest criminal acts throughout the country, wage theft. First, we discovered what wage theft is and its causes. Next, we explored the far-reaching impacts of wage theft before finally understanding some steps to fix the issue, even ones that you can take yourself. So after today, I know that one thing is for sure. If you want one more second of my time, then you're gonna have to pay me for it.
So Nina, like most of our crew, has been fighting through sickness this week. If you can't tell, she's really pushing through, so thank you for making that happen. That took a lot. All right, we have one more performance for you this evening, and it is a duo, duet acting, or duo interpretation. It's called a bunch of different stuff. So our final showcase for the evening is Duo Inter, an event where two performers tackle a single piece of literature together without ever making eye contact or touching. Which for these two is probably for the best. Because if they could look at each other, they'd be laughing the entire time. Now let's talk about these two. First up, I want to introduce you to Danny Scholes from Cheyenne, Wyoming. Danny is one of the most decorated competitors in our program's recent history. Last year at FirePie, she took home 2 national gold medals. This year, she expanded her already impressive repertoire to include poetry, prose, dramatic interp, and the duo you're about to see. Just a few weeks ago, she took home the top prize in a stacked prose final in California. Danny is a bold, fierce, thoughtful performer whose work never fails to leave a mark. And after graduation, she'll be on scholarship for the University of Nebraska at Lincoln for their forensics program. We're very proud of Danny for a number of reasons, but especially carrying the torch over there to Lincoln. We could not be more proud of her. Joining her in this performance is Davin Rowe, also from Cheyenne, Wyoming. And equally committed to making this his breakout year. Davin earned 3 bronze medals last year at the national tournament and is hungry to get back to FirePie and get that gold. He's competing in prose, poi, speech to entertain, and this duo, and brings an unmatched combination of precision, humor, and heart to everything he does. After nationals, Davin will be attending the University of Arizona to pursue a degree in cybersecurity, that's not right, computer science, and mathematics. But we're already feeling the absence his spirit will leave behind. These two have had incredible individual seasons. When they work together, it's electric. Performing their duo from Cheyenne, Wyoming, please welcome Danny Scholes and Davin Rowe.
It was September, and there was a town, and there was a circus, and there was a railroad.
It was September, and there was a town,
And there was a circus,
and there was a railroad, and there was an elephant.
Mary. We dreamed of her before we even saw her.
She was plastered on every telephone pole.
On every fence post.
She was coming
To our muddy town. It was all there in black and white. It said,
Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, Spark World's famous shows proudly present.
on January 20th, 2025, following his inauguration as President of the United States, Donald Trump ushered in an era that would ultimately become a political circus.
Despite growing concerns of threats to our democracy and human rights, many of our fellow citizens have chosen to sit in complacency as the ugly inner sanctum of the American ideology is shamefully showcased.
This performance of governance masks a more profound attack on human dignity. White supremacy, LGBTQ+ attacks, immigrant dehumanization, and every denial of human rights propel us like a herd toward a hidden and catastrophic end. Elephant's graveyard of our collective humanity.
The price of complacency is clear. As Nobel laureate Elie Wiesel cautioned, silence encourages the tormentor and never the tormented. This tragic narrative of a 1916 traveling circus, a stark testament to the price of inaction, finds a dangerous parallel in our own government.
With each passing day, our current administration unmasks the insidious and ever-present danger of silence in the midst of injustice. The Elephant's Graveyard by George Brandt.
You've got trained seals, the trapeze, the strongman. But this circus has
Ballet girl. Can't dance really. Old enough to have a girl of my own. But I have another purpose. I feed Mary. Wash her. Even sleep with her. I'm lucky. You play your cards right. You got a friend for life.
Hell, as ringmaster, I'd even have a drink with her. The elephants, they just love the parade. Last was the man with the red hair.
I'd shown Red how to feed Mary. Wash her, that's it. But then he said he wanted to ride her in the parade.
As ringmaster, it was my decision. I should have said no. I should have told him she was ours, that it takes trust. Trust you build up over years, not just one day. I didn't say nothing, just stepped aside.
I woke up at 4 a.m. and ran as fast as I could to the field where they do it.
And then this big elephant came out. Ooh, I about peed myself. Oh, it made this big trumpet sound and
We about peed ourselves! That big elephant was leading the whole thing. And that goofy guy with red hair, he was up on her back.
It's Mary.
Oh, Mary.
And then, well, the dominoes just started falling.
Elephant sees Melon.
Elephant walks towards Melon.
Elephant rider encourages elephant to abandon Melon.
Elephant rider turns red.
Elephant rider breaks elephant hook, cross elephant tusk.
Elephant decides she's had enough of elephant rider.
Elephant throws elephant rider off elephant back with elephant trunk.
Elephant rider thinks it's over.
Elephant rider is wrong.
Elephant walks over to elephant rider and puts elephant foot on elephant rider's head.
Elephant rider. Dead! Head explodes like a melon.
Elephant walks away. Elephant rider don't. It's simple. Parade stops, man dies, and elephant turned killer.
Somebody screamed. Crowd break up, here talk, lots of talk.
Talk about public menace. Talk about what you do with a rabid dog. Talk about what is right and what is wrong.
Maybe we should just leave Mary out. Maybe people would
They
forget.
won't forget. They're not coming to see the circus. They're coming to see the kill. Shh, shh, shh. Ballet girl brought Mary out like she was the most innocent of God's creatures.
But it didn't work. The people weren't there to forgive. The whole town was together today. And they don't look kindly upon murderers.
Kill her!
I saw him hitting her tusk with that hook. She stopped him. She stopped him. That's it.
The people of this town know what we have seen, and we demand justice. They knew shooting it with a pistol wouldn't work, but we always had the answer. The rail yard. There's a crane there, can lift 100 tons, hanging her. That'll do the trick.
I lead Mary to her death. Look at me, all of you. Here I am, right next to the trunk that did the deed. And am I scared? Am I trembling? No. I'm smiling. They tie Mary's foot to the track so she can't move. And then they ask me to put the chain around her neck. I am someone she knows, someone she trusts. But this isn't my show. It's theirs. The crane groaned and
Guilty.
confused,
Guilty.
helpless,
Guilty. Like a killer.
like a queen. Time. It stood still.
It rose up till it was standing on its hind legs like like it was doing a trick. Why isn't this crane going any higher?
Maybe she's too heavy.
But she's not too heavy. The crane started again.
Should have left then.
Her trunk started stabbing the air, trying to grab a hold of something. She made some noises. Crane higher and higher and
And that was it. Nobody clapped this time. Elephants don't forget nothing. People don't always remember so good. Even thousands of people tend to not remember the details when you have an elephant hanging in front of them. But I did. You know, people in this here country will tell you that we become a small nation of little people with little dreams, staring at the ground instead of the stars. But look at what we did here today and tell me our country ain't dying. We hung a damn elephant. An elephant. This is America, where you can do anything you dream. Anything at all. It was September, and there was a town,
and there was a circus,
and there was a railroad,
and there was an elephant.
An elephant. Mary.
All right. Before we go, there is one more person that we want to talk about, and I specifically wanted to be the one that does that. I'm in my 4th year coaching here at Casper College, and the most steady and consistent presence during that time has not been my co-director, Doug. Since my first day at Casper College, Pearl Taylor has been an ever-present fixture as both a competitor and this year as an assistant coach. Pearl has shown what true dedication looks like during her time at Casper College. Her attitude is nothing short of inspiring, always positive, even when the energy presented may have generously been described as subdued. She is encouraging and willing to step up and step in whenever needed, even when doing so required her to juggle multiple different responsibilities in school, work, and life. Her work ethic has been unmatched. She's approached every challenge with unwavering commitment and spent untold hours honing her craft and supporting her teammates. This is the specific reason that we crossed our fingers and hoped that she would come back as a coach when we learned that she would need to stay a 4th year. Not out of failure to achieve, mind you, but simply because a change in career path was coupled with very specifically stacked requirement courses for the program. And all of that is bearing fruit, even as she's still finishing that program. Pearl was recently offered a job as a respiratory therapist at Cincinnati Children's Hospital, which she will officially be able to start once she has her credential conferred in May. Now, to put that achievement into perspective, where, according to U.S. News & World Report's 2024 rankings, Cincinnati Children's is the 5th best children's hospital in the nation, as well as the 1st overall in pulmonology and respiratory lung care. Pearl, since I am your ever-present wet blanket, I feel like this is the perfect time and setting to remind you that when you start at the top, it means you have nowhere to go but down. This is a young woman beloved by her teammates, beloved by her coaches, and even beloved by our families. since Doug and I have both trusted her enough to babysit our children. So because of that, one last time, we thought it appropriate to tell everyone how amazing it has been having Pearl Taylor as part of our speech family. I'm personally going to miss you every day, and we will only be consoled by the knowledge that you're doing great things in a great place. Thank you so much. You asked me what that email was about because the gift that I had was not sent to her at the right time. It was supposed to come right around now. But we are also gifting you a $50 gift card to the restaurant Soda, which according to my sources is the finest Italian restaurant in all of Cincinnati. So once you get to your new home, have a dinner on us. Not Olive Garden. I was surprised myself, right? But we thought you'd have a good time and have an amazing time in Cincinnati. I want to be very clear. When I called Nina, I needed to step out to use the restroom. Pearl had to do the same. As we were waiting to come back in, she said, "So you couldn't have even said my name at any time?" That happened. With that, we don't want to keep you any longer. Thank you, everyone, for coming out to see these performances. This is literally a fraction of what these students have the ability to accomplish, and we are expecting great things over the coming week. Can't help but say good enough things about them. One more round of applause. Time until the next time I see you.
We take cookies.
Take some cookies with
What is going on? I've never heard the story. Yes. No, I heard. You should. You're gonna be around. I'm good. How are you?
So not like a
And Marquise, just gonna make stuff up. What's next? Say she's working for you.
I'm just not gonna
I saw it, but I was like, it's okay. I've been taught, you've been taught better than that, but you know. The coach immediately said, I think I'm going to talk about this.
Thanks for watching.